Hey there everybody, and today I want to ask you the question, do you really get out what you put in? Hey there everybody, my name's Dave, aka Mindset by Dave, and I have been a mindset and mental health content creator for the past 4.5 years, helping people get unstuck with whatever it is that holds them back up here. The reason I talk about being a content creator today rather than being a coach is the content creation game is one of those spaces where do you really get out what you put in? Now, I want to kind of jump into this phrase, but before I do, give this video a little pause and go and pop into the comments and let me know what your thoughts are. I absolutely love to know what your thoughts are before you've watched the video, because I want to know exactly where you're coming from right now. And then when you've done that, come back up here and we'll have a chat about it. So my issue with that statement is quite simply the fact that it suggests a linearity. It suggests a one-to-one relationship. You get out what you put in. The word exactly isn't in that sentence, but it's very much implied by that sentence and definitely inferred by a lot of people that hear that sentence. So if you put in something, you should get out something equivalent to that something in return. And it just doesn't work like that. As a little side note, go and check out this video here on karma, where I talk about how karma is kind of more of a paying it forward kind of thing than a I scratch your back, you scratch mine. Anyway, back to this. So the problem I have with this sentiment is the fact that I've been creating content for a hell of a lot of years. I've been running my own business for a hell of a lot of years. And there's been times, a lot of times within that, if I'm perfectly honest, there's been a lot of times within that where I'll be perfectly honest, I sit back a little bit. I kind of let the business come to me, you know, if you build it, they will come and all that kind of thing. And the thing is with that is what tends to happen at that point is things do tend to drop off. So that then makes me go, aha, I have refreshed purpose in all of this. I shall go back and I shall work harder, and then the working harder has an effect of bringing more communication in, bringing more contact in. So then you get stuck into the idea that, aha, I've figured this out now. If I work even harder, then I'll get even more. And that is where a lot of people come unstuck. And the issue we have with all of this is depending on kind of where you are in this cycle will very much vary how much you get out relational to how much you put in. I think of this in terms of a skill acquisition. Now, I've learned a bunch of musical instruments over the course of my life. That you may have noticed there's a guitar subtly hiding in the background, and you may have even seen one of the videos where I do occasionally pick the damn thing up. And I remember learning the guitar and getting stuck at various different points along the way. But once I got over that first hurdle, put a little bit of effort into it, now suddenly I can play a song. And with the amount of effort I've put in versus how much I've got out of it, seems pretty fair. It seems kind of okay. Now, I carried on playing for years and years and years, and what tends to happen is that the amount of effort it takes to get to the next level, like with a video game, increases over time. And you plateau, you get stuck, you can push through these periods and get stagnated. And to the point of which you feel like you're putting in so much effort and we're not seeing the reward. And this is a huge important thing. We need to see the reward. There's this common image that goes around on a meme, and I'll try and get it up on screen now, where you've got the guy who's walking away looking all dejected from the diamonds that were just the other side of the wall when he's mining. He's got the pickaxe, and then you've got another guy who's kind of running through the tunnel, enthusiastic, ready to go, and he's just going to do a little bit of digging and get to the diamonds. And the purpose of this analogy is to basically tell us to keep going, to just keep digging, keep plowing away, because the thing that you want is at the other side, and you've just got to keep going, you've just got to keep working, and if you keep on working as hard as you possibly can, you're gonna get the result. But guess what? There are people that don't. There are genuinely people that don't. There are people that work their entire life for a result and never get it. And then there are actually other people that work a small amount of time and get much more of a significant result. And this is kind of where the problem is, because you get out what you put in works when we zoom right out and we look at populations. It doesn't always work when we zoom right in and we look at individuals. Of course, this is a very messy thing to even talk about because, hey, how motivational is that? Dave's just said that I may never get there. I may do all the work in the world and never get there. Yeah, I know, it's not the most fun thought to sit on because I know this because I've sat on that thought many, many times. And ultimately, the answer to that question really sits on the question of would you rather try and fail than not try at all? And I can't sit here and tell you what's the right thing to do or not do in all of that, because you may get a huge amount of reward for something that you've done, and you may not. A few months back, I tried to put together the perfect Venn diagram of success in our endeavours. And I decided that the three main components, at least the ones that we can work on, are our patience, our work ethic, and our talent. And if we get all three of those things together, we tend to get a person that is successful. If a person is talented or skilled, if you prefer a skill, which is something that we can physically work on, versus a talent, which is something that we see as kind of innate and there to be nurtured. If you get a person that is skilled, has a strong work ethic and puts in the work, and is patient for when that result will come, then chances are that person is going to be one of those people that is successful. At the same time, you often get people that just have one or two of these things. For example, if you get a person that has talent and a strong work ethic, but doesn't actually have any patience, that person's probably going to get frustrated and give up before the result comes. Unless that person happens to get a really good early win, they're probably going to walk away. Then we might have the type of person that has the patience and has the work ethic, but doesn't have the ability or the skill or the talent. And as a result, no matter how much kind of work that they put in over time, it just never quite gets picked up. Again, that person will probably end up pushing through, wondering, because they've got the patience, why is this not working? And maybe their friends around them they're willing to say, well, actually, the work you do is just not particularly good. It's, it's like no one wants to be the person to have that conversation. And then if you have a person who has the patience, but has the talent, but doesn't have the work ethic, that person's going to put out a piece of work every now and then and probably just fade into obscurity. Maybe it will be a one-hit wonder. You see a piece of their work, it comes out, and then you absolutely love it and you can't wait for more of it, but you don't actually get anything from there because they don't put anything else out because of that smaller work ethic. And the more and more I looked at this diagram, the more I wanted to say, is there a fourth element? Is luck in the picture? And the problem we have with this is that the only people that get to the top tend to be the ones that don't want to admit that luck was part of it. The people at the top tend to say, no, luck didn't play a role in this. I did this. This was my hard work and perseverance. This was those three things: my talent, my perseverance, and my work ethic. These things together are why I'm here. There's even that quote, I find that the harder I work, the luckier I get. Now, I want there to be some positive application of all of this for you. And simply what I would suggest is that we change the saying. Instead of saying you get out what you put in, again, 1-to-1, ratios, relative progress based on relative effort, I want you to think that you only get out when you put in. That's that old saying is like, don't be upset when you don't get the results for the work that you didn't do. I think there's actually more benefit in us saying, actually, you don't get out if you don't put in, because we do need to put in something. But if we go into it with our expectations of what I get out is going to be linear and relational to what I put in, first of all, it's probably not in the same time frame. You're not going to put in a post today that gets you the results today. Not always. Sometimes you get that. But the vast majority of the time, the things that you put in today, the work that you put in today is like planting seeds. They take time to grow. And the problem with that is, up here, we don't associate. Unless someone comes and directly says, that video you put out 6 months ago has absolutely changed my life. I've decided to spread it today and now you are viral. Unless someone kind of put the pieces together for us like that, our brain's forgotten what we did. And we are this instant gratification kind of person where we just associate Well, the result I've got now is based on what I've just done. It's just not always the case. But if we go into it expecting that something will happen as a result of putting this work in, and if we also understand as well that it's not going to be this 1-to-1 ratio. If you are burnt out, but you're also not getting the success that you want to, putting in that extra 10% probably isn't going to give you an extra 10% return. And it could be best to actually take a step back, renew your efforts, come back stronger, and on a different day, that whole 80-20 rule, you get 80% of the results from 20% of your efforts. And then obviously to get the extra 20%, you have to do the extra 80%. I think that rule, though it's not perfect, and again, deals with populations rather than individuals, I think that rule is a little bit closer to the truth. And the main thing about all of this is our expectations. When our expectations are being met, we tend to be happy. When our expectations are not being met, we tend to be unhappy. And as a result of that, when we do things when we're happy, they tend to be better. When we do things when we're unhappy, they tend to be worse. We need to tap into this so that we can break that cycle and then hopefully actually, one day be the big picture, getting out relative to what we put in. As always, I hope this has been helpful to you, and if it has, hit that thumbs up at the bottom for me so that this can actually help these videos to reach more people. Let's beat that algorithm. Help me to get out what I put in. I'll catch you soon.
Not make it all in vain. It can't all be in vain. I refuse. I refuse to spend 1 minute of my life that I can help, that if I can tell somebody that they don't have to feel the way I felt about myself for 35 years, I'm never going to shut up about it. Never.
Yeah.
I refuse. I won't lay down and die anymore. I did that. I'm not going to lie to you. I did that. When I first got sick, I just laid down and gave up. The depression was too much. Being sick and I love to work, and not working was just probably one of the most devastating things that ever happened.